Hello, 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 and happy Friendship Fridays. And your favorite bestie is here to help you navigate this caregiving space. Please make sure you chat, ask questions, like, share, and subscribe. It's all free to help build this community of besties that's going to support each other in this journey or give knowledge and information to those who just got into the journey. This series is series three, which are pre-recorded interviews of caregivers from all different walks of life. And they're going to give their perspective and their knowledge in hopes to help someone who may have just started this journey or deep in this journey. And the tips they are going to give will definitely bless somebody. Tonight's episode is with a beautiful soul that I met back this past spring, and I met her in line at Marshall's. We began chatting, and my mother was with me, and she, of course, inquired, and I explained that my mother had suffered a stroke, and she shared with me that her mother had had a stroke as well. And I ended up giving her my travel card. She booked the trip, shameless plug, 3kgtravels.com. And she always asked me how my mother was doing. And so one day I just asked her, could she be a part of this new series? She accepted, and I'm so grateful that she accepted. So today we're going to hear a word, testimony, journey, path from Miss Tiernary Kid. She also goes by Tia. If you get on, see on YouTube and like, name. She go by both. So how are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How about yourself? Thanks for having me on the show tonight.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So today we're going to have a transparent conversation. Two
Okay.
friends having a conversation about the shoes that we both wore. We're going to
Hmm.
get into it 30 minutes or less. We're going to give some ministry and we just going to bless the people. Okay. So
Okay.
you can go as
Sounds
deep as you would like to go,
good.
or you can stay surface. I'm here. We're gonna work this thing out. So we're gonna jump right into it. How did you end up as a caregiver?
Well, I ended up as a caregiver back in 2020 when my mom had her second stroke. She had one in 2017, but that was, the first one, and it was similar mild. The second one was severely intense. They say the more that you have strokes, the worse they are each time. So the second one impaired her walking, her talking, and her day to day being able to take care of herself was all impaired. So it was during COVID, so I wasn't allowed to go to the hospital to see how she was doing. I'm having to check on her via telephone call or Skype with the doctor to see like where the blockages is in her brain, what the status is of her, what her recovery time looks like, et cetera, et cetera. So they told me that, of course, your mom's not going to be able to go home by herself. Okay. My mom has set up her whole little, going home. Oh, this girl named Michelle, she gonna come over and stay with me. And I was like, what? What? She's like, I don't want to bother you. No, you just, you just worry about you and your daughter, and I'll just stay here. And I said, well, mom, I can't go back and forth from Alpharetta. At the time I was living in Alpharetta, my mom lived in Decatur. I can't travel from Alpharetta to Decatur every day to check on you. I said, I just, would feel like that would just be too much. So what I did was took upon myself contact all the nurses that was going to be able to come out to the house to give her therapy and etc. And I transferred everything to Alpharetta, and I told her, your son is picking you up and you're coming to Alpharetta. So that was the beginning of the caregiving moment.
Okay. So you have a brother. So how did you
Uh-huh.
guys decide who would take her? Like, how did that happen?
So my brother is married. He's married to a nurse practitioner, and she has two grandchildren that lives with them full time. And because of that, I decided, I was like, it's probably going to be a little crowded over there. Let me just, take care of my mom. My mom probably wouldn't be comfortable with my brother, like bathing her and, when she go to the restroom, things like that. So I just took on that responsibility. It was just my daughter and myself living together. So I was like, okay, we'll just, take her. And I said, well, I told my brother, I said, you do doctor's appointments because I can't do doctor's appointments and day to day. I do work from home. I work remote, so you're gonna have to do this. At the time, he wasn't working. I'm not gonna say this was like the best time for us to be able to bond as a brother and sister, but it was the best time because my mom needed us. He wasn't working. I was. I was working remote, so it kind of worked out right. So my mom came and said, well, she did not like it. She did not want it because she was like, y'all trying to take my independence from me. And she had
Uh,
a, like I said, her language and everything was slurred, slurred, and it
yeah.
was impaired. But I knew and I understood what she was saying.
Right. Oh yeah, they
And
they
my mom,
they put up a protest now. They not
yeah,
for
yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah, so and she never really told me like why she was having the strokes. These were
Right,
questions I started asking the doctors. I said, "Well, can you tell me why my mom is having strokes?" They said, "Well, your mom has chronic kidney failure." I was like, "Well, what is that?" So I started doing some research, and they said, "Yeah, she is her kidneys aren't functioning to where we want it to function, and we're trying to get her on dialysis." So I was like, did you know anything about dialysis? And she was like, I'm not doing no dialysis. They take blood out you and then they put it back in you. And I know how they change people, how they look. I'm gonna be fine. I'll be fine. Right. Because my mom was a retired doctor, I mean nurse. So, I'm thinking she know what she can do to
right,
get her kidneys back functioning. I didn't know. So I said, well, I ain't gonna
right,
put too much on her. Let's just get her healed. Right.
right,
So she stayed with me. She was getting her physical therapy. And I told my mom, I said, I'll make a deal with you. I know you want to go back home, used to being on your own. I said, if you can show me that you are healing in a way where you can take care of yourself, then I'll start adding some responsibilities to you. I said, so you can cook breakfast one day, I'll clean up the mess. You cook dinner one day, I'll clean up the mess, or vice versa. We'll take turns. I said, I'll let you do a load of clothes, etc., etc. You fold them, or I'll do them and you fold. I just want to see what your independence
right,
look like.
right,
So as time progressed, she started, doing okay. It was hard in the beginning because she wanted to just lay around. And I know the bed is not like a safe place for a sick person. They need to get
right.
up, they need to
And
move
move around.
around, they need to
Yeah.
take their medicines on time. So I'm setting schedule up on my phone. When she's time for her to take her medicine, I'm like, Ma, it's 9 o'clock. It's time to get out that bed. You got a therapy coming. Somebody's coming over. She's like, you get on my nerves. You're not
Yeah.
you trying to tell me what to do. And I'm like, yeah, because you'll lay in this bed all day. You're not laying in the bed.
Right,
So I go, get her bathed, help her make sure she brush her teeth and all that stuff. Because my mom
right.
was very particular. She was well put together. So to not be able to do that, that was killing
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
That was killing her. And she had me going to her house to get sweatsuits or whatever because my mom lived in a senior citizens
Okay.
housing.
Yeah.
So
Prior
when
to a
she
stroke.
had mhm.
Okay.
So when she had her stroke, she actually was outside with her neighbors when she had the stroke. So she wasn't by herself. And they were all like a little close-knit family. So with her going back home, I felt okay, but I just wanted to make sure she was good to
Good. Right.
actually, go back home. But it just looked like my life just was at a standstill for a minute. Was no dating, no talking on the phone, no going out to eat with my girlfriends, no having no drinks.
But
I was just in
nothing.
focused caregiver
Right.
mode.
Right.
And with being in focused caregiver mode, that sometimes drain you and wear you out
It does.
to a
The
to a
burnout
point.
is, yeah, the
Yeah, the
burnout is
burnout
serious.
is real. So,
Yeah.
I had to have a conversation. I had to have a hard conversation with my brother. And I was like, I don't know that you know how deep her recovery is. I don't
Right.
know that you know the things that may be going on with her. When you go to the doctor with her, are you going inside with her? He's like, no, I just sit out in the I just sit out in a waiting area. I said, no, 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 no. When you go to the doctor with her, I need for you to go in there because
Right.
there's no telling what we don't know
We don't know. Yeah.
and the things that we should know. And he was like, you
Right.
know what? I didn't think about that. I said, yeah, so the next time you go. So the next time they go, Giovanni, she tells him she don't want him to go back there with her.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
So
Because
he
they have
sends
these
me,
whole web of secrets and they're trying to spare us, but in reality, you're not really sparing us. Like, because
you're
that
not
burden
sparing
is
us.
still gonna be on our feet. That burden, we still gotta figure things out. So you sparing us the bad news and the blow, but we still gonna get the hit. Like you
Hmm.
just delaying it. You're just delaying it.
Yep. Yep. So just speed it up. She wound up going back home. So she started staying with me February 2020. I
Okay.
let her go home May 1st of 2020
Okay. So when
because
you
she,
go
mhm,
ahead. I'm sorry.
because I felt like she was good. But go ahead.
Okay, so you felt like she was ready, And
Mm-hmm.
so she only went through your process of caregiving for a year, but once she went back home, was you still doing caregiving duties?
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So
Mm-hmm.
what did that
So when
dynamic look like?
when she went back home, I said, I need for you to call me in the morning when you get up.
Okay.
I need to know that you've already taken your medications, and I need you to be taking your medications.
Okay.
And I need to, know when your doctor's appointments are. So she wouldn't let me know when her doctor's appointments were. So I started making the doctor's appointments.
Oh,
So, I told my brother I was still at this time making, still working from home. So one day I was led to just make an appointment. My mom
right.
was like, I didn't know I had no appointment today. She fussing with the people there. As soon as it was
Mhm.
time for her, now I'm sitting in my car. She don't see me. I see her. And
Okay.
so my mom she still was mobile. She was able to drive herself to the doctor's office. It was up the street from our house. So
That's a
I
good
go
recovery.
in. Uh-huh. So I go in and I go in behind her and I shut the door. She's like, what you doing here? I said, I made this appointment because I need to know what's going on with you.
Right. Yeah.
I said, so when you go with your son, when your son go with you to the doctor, then you give him a hard time because you don't want him to come back here. But I need to know what's going on with you. So it was like she has high blood pressure, she has diabetes, which I already knew my mom had diabetes. But I
Right.
didn't know how blood pressure was like through the roof. It wasn't, where the numbers were needed to be for her to not have a stroke, things like that. My mom did stop smoking cold turkey after the second
Okay.
stroke. She was supposed to stop smoking after the first stroke, but she
Right.
continued to smoke. So that increased the chances of her having another stroke.
Yeah.
And you got this bad kidney. So you don't
Right.
need to be smoking anyway. So she decided, I'm not smoking this, that, or whatever. She said, it actually made me sick to even smell smoke. So we
That's
going
good.
through the chart and the doctor's telling me things is going on. And I was bawling. When I got home, I was bawling because I had no idea that my mom was walking around dying,
Wow. And
dying.
your brother didn't know either because he wouldn't go back there. Oh,
No.
wow. Yeah, that's,
So
oh,
it's deep, So now I'm feeling like I think I need to do more.
right.
So now I'm like, I'm going to these doctor's appointments. I'm doing this. So now that my mom is back home, my brother is not going to the doctor anymore
Oh, right.
because
She
he's,
will. Well,
she
now, we
what?
don't need to do
I'm like, no, bro, I still need you to go.
that.
So my mom and him had a little falling out
Right.
over a cell phone. I'm like, really? I said, if it's gonna be like this, I'll just put her on my plan. I'll pay her bill every month. And I did.
Okay.
And my mom was like, I don't want to talk to him no more. And he need to leave me alone and this, that, whatever. And he bring my key back. She was just being petty.
Right.
Right. And he was like, okay, that what you want, this, that, or whatever. But I was telling him, I was like, this is something that if something happens to her, it's gonna take you a long time to deal with it. Now,
Right.
granted, when I was in my 20s, early 30s, me and my mom always butt heads. We were so much alike, right? Until I felt like when she had the stroke and I became a caregiver for her, that kind of mended our relationship. And I feel like that was a way of God, like saying her time is
Preparing.
limited. So go
Right.
ahead and resolve whatever issues you got. And we did. We were able to resolve issues. So when she started getting on my
Okay.
nerves, I said, girl, I gotta call you back. I gotta call you back. I'll talk to you later. And I would call her the next day like nothing. She's like, what you want, wench? What you want? And my mom was so funny. She was so hilarious that she would just make you laugh and she wouldn't be laughing, but you be laughing because she was just so
Right.
hilarious. And then I want to say September of 2021, I got a call from one of her close friends. And she says, Tia, how's your mom? I said, she doing good. She, she up running around. She doing this, she doing this. She said, I don't think she doing as good as she say she is. I
Oh,
said, why?
wow.
She told me she was going to do the dialysis thing. She said, I went to the doctor with her. The doctor want to take your mom to court because she's not going to dialysis. I said, what? She said, yeah, she's not going to dialysis. So yeah, the doctor want to, withdraw her care from her and take her to court because she's been telling your mom she needs to. Your mom is in the fourth stage of kidney failure. I said, wait a minute, she's what? She's in the fourth stage of kidney failure. I am like livid. I am whatever. So I call my mom. I don't want to startle her, but she knows me. She's like, "What's wrong? You okay? You've been crying?" And I'm like, "Mom, what's going on with you?" She was like, "Well, they said my kidney's not doing too good." I said, "Well, they said that a year ago. Where are you now?" She was like, quiet for a second. She was like, "They trying to say I don't have that much that time to live." I said, "They trying to say, or is it true?" So I'll never forget the day, Giovanni. I and this is I think this is God's way of just not wanting me to see my mom at her worst.
Right.
So I'm a pretty healthy person. Don't have anything going on. Other than I've been overweight all my life, but I was able to overcome that last couple of years, thank God. But for whatever reason, I called my mom. Whenever she didn't answer, I would get in my car and drive to Decatur. This
Right.
particular day, I couldn't drive to Decatur, so I did a meeting with my manager and everything online. I had like a one-on-one. And then suddenly I started feeling like this dull pain in my abdominal area, like I was having some pressure around like my uterus or something like that. Come to find out, I had a cyst on my ovary the size of a grapefruit.
Yeah.
And later on that day, I laid in bed. I took some pain relievers trying to get through the pain. And I said, if I don't feel any better by 7:30, I'm just going to go to Emory. So I got drove myself to Emory, and they told me I had the cyst. In the midst of me being there, the neighbor calls me. And she says, "Hey," she's like, "Hey, I don't think your mom went to work today, but mom had a little job on the side."
Okay.
And when she had a little job on the side, she was working under the table because she was getting her little money every month. So she said, I said, "What make you think she didn't go to work today?" She said, "Well, I've been calling her and her car is here. Your mom opened her blinds every day." That was something that she taught me to do. When I get up, I open the blinds, I brush my teeth, make my coffee, do all of that. So we kind of had the same kind of routine. Well, my mom
Right.
didn't do this that day. She said, "Well, your mom have an extra key in the flower pot outside in case something like this happens. Do you mind if I go?" And I said, "Oh, no, I don't mind if you do, you know." So I
Right.
said, "I will stay on the phone with you, but I got the doctor coming in here. I'm at the hospital. I'll call you right back." So she said, "Okay." So I'm trying to get the doctor to tell me what's going on so I can hurry and call her back. She wound up calling me back first. So she said, "Well, we found your mom on the floor. She's been laying there for several hours and they can't bring her back. She's breathing like very, very limp. Like she really don't have any more life left back in her. They're gonna take her to Grady." I said, "I don't want her to go to Grady." So they was like, "No, because she suffered another stroke." The paramedics now got on the phone with me. She suffered another stroke, and this one was really, really bad.
Okay.
And she has hemorrhage to death in her brain.
Oh,
How we know is because I guess whatever EMC test they can do, they can tell that the brain has no activity.
right.
They said the brain has no activity. I would hate to get, I don't want to give you too much information, but I'm giving you enough to know that I have to take her to Grady because they have the best trauma. I said, "Okay, all right, cool." Take her to Grady. And so prior to that, I wound up getting into an altercation with my brother on the phone because I'm like, "I haven't heard from mommy all day. Can you go over there?" "My feet hurt. I'm tired." Just so whatever. So I was kind of over him
Right.
because I was like, "Look, Joker, all the stuff I done did, you better take your butt over there." And so he and my sister-in-law, they finally got their clothes on after the neighbor called and said that my mom was unresponsive and et cetera, et cetera. They met down at, Grady, and I'm still at the hospital. I can't go nowhere. And so my brother was like, "It's not looking good. Mommy don't have no brain activity. They have her on a ventilator." Blah. I said, "A ventilator?" He was like, "Yeah, she's not breathing on her own." And I was like, "What?" So I, go the next. They won't let anybody in there. My sister-in-law is a nurse, and she works for another hospital, so they allowed her to go in there because she understands the medical terminology. She
Right.
understands what may be going on, and she know how to kind of, I guess, stay out the way while they're
Right.
doing what they need to do. So she gave us a lot of information. She sat me and my brother down later on that night and she was like, "Hey, you guys now have to make a decision what you want to do with your mom." I was like, "It'll be selfish of us to keep her because she's going to be a vegetable. She's
Mhm.
not going to know who we are."
Right.
I said, "I would just rather let her go in peace." My brother was like, "Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do, sis." So we didn't make any decisions without each other. We didn't do anything without each other. That was the time for us to really, you know what I'm saying, lock in. And we've always been close because that's what she taught us to be. So when
Right.
he acting like a, you know what, I'm like, "Look." Don't make me have to go upside your head. That's why you call me a little big sis, because I can get him in order, you know. And he can do the same for me. Like, look, you gonna sit down and hush, whatever. But we kind of made the decision. But I would tell anybody, parents aren't gonna always tell you what's going on with them. You have to insert yourself,
Yes.
and you
Oh,
have to prepare. You have to prepare for what's to come, because our parents gonna get old and they're gonna pass away. That's
right,
just the reality of it. So accepting that they're gonna get old and they're gonna pass away, that's better for you. I'm not gonna
right,
say you're not gonna miss them. I'm not gonna say you're not gonna grieve. I'm gonna tell you all that's all a lie, because you're gonna do all of those things. But
right,
to things to prepare you for, to say, okay, my mom, I'm accept she got diabetes. I'm accept she got kidney failure. I'm accept she got high blood pressure. Those things that you need to accept, and you need to know what's going on and what those things can do in their state
right,
of condition right then and there. Because tomorrow's I promise, we don't know when the Lord gonna check our number.
right. That's
We
true.
out of here.
Yeah.
Whether you want us to be or not, we out of
Yeah.
here. But you have to be prepared. So even when I go through things, or I'm having a surgery, I had a couple of surgeries. I've always educated my daughter. You got a healthy mom, but in the event something happens, here's all of my information,
Right.
my bank accounts, this, that, or blah, 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 blah. Here's everything. She was like, Mom, why you acting like you're gonna die? I'm like, what if something goes wrong and the Lord decide, hey, I'm just gonna go and take you now?
Right.
You have a starting place. I don't want it to ever be where somebody's giving my child a runaround of how to get through a policy. If you don't know how to read an insurance policy, get with somebody that knows how to read an insurance policy. Get educated
Yes.
on what is entitled to you and your family. Get
And what
educated
you
on
purchase, read the fine
and what
print
you
on what you
purchased,
purchase.
right? And get
Because what you think you have
sometimes
in
it
your policy may not even be there. Because we've been
might
through
not
that
even
with
be
my
there.
mother. Like, wait, oh,
Yes.
this hospital insurance, she had hospital insurance, but it only
Mhm.
covered accidents. It's like, wait, what? So it doesn't cover sickness? Oh no. She been paying almost 20 years. Yeah, it doesn't cover sickness. So why are we paying for this?
That's that's
But
why I
knowing what
said
you bought, knowing what you bought.
you have to know what you purchase. And if you don't know, you seek legal counsel. We spend
Yeah,
money going out to dinner. You can pay somebody $100 an hour to teach you to go through a policy so you can be educated. So that if
right.
you need to change something on your policy or get another policy, then that's what you need to do. What I did not know is that my mom had insurance through Emory that she let lapse. She
Oh,
let
wow.
lapse because it was 300 some dollars a month. It was a $500,000 policy. I told my brother we could have paid that.
But but
My
she didn't
mom
say
had a
anything.
policy.
She didn't
She didn't
say
say
anything.
anything. She didn't say anything. And these are the things that you have to talk about. You have to say, hey, mom, you got an insurance policy? And
Where
whoever's
is it?
listening, whoever's out there, I encourage you to find out what your parents have. Find out what their coverages are, so
Yeah,
that when something happens, the burden is not, I got to bury my mom, I got to bury my loved one, or whatever. You know what you up against at the door.
and you're
And
not
you want
having
to
a fish
spend them.
fry. You're not having a fish fry or a GoFundMe to do a funeral
No,
because the insurance
no.
don't pay out immediately. You got to wait for the
And
insurance
they
to kick
don't.
in. Yeah, so
And
it's
they
just
have to validate. They have
yeah,
to validate before. Now, I had them take my mom to Willie Watkins. Before Willie Watkins would even touch her, they wanted to make sure that policy was good. Now,
that's
that
great.
don't make no sense.
That's close.
So what happens is, and what's this some things that people don't know. So although the policy does not pay out right away, they have a company that they use to fund the funeral expenses up
Oh,
front.
what I do.
Mhm.
And for those that are not from Atlanta area, don't live in Georgia like we do, Willie Walker's is a big time funeral home. So just in case you're like, who is that? It's big
Who's Willie
time. It's
Watkins?
like yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big time. That's where all the people go. There's somebody. They
Hmm.
do the horse and carriage. They
They do
really
it
big
all.
time.
They do it
So they
all.
have a company that funds your funeral up front, but
They
they
have a
have to make
company that
sure.
they use.
But you have to have your policy in place for that company to step in. Oh wow,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So once they validate that it's active and it can be funded at X amount of time, they go ahead and they send the money to Willie Watkins Funeral Home and say, okay, this is a good policy. Go ahead, proceed.
Wow.
But that's when they start going through what are the things that you want. And I'm gonna tell you, half of these things that you don't know, I'm gonna go ahead and educate you real fast. Those caskets that you pay all this money for, they
Mhm.
take your parents out and put them in a little case and they bury them. So what they doing with the casket?
Wait a minute, hold on. Pause. Pause. Let's put a pin in that.
Hmm.
So that white casket with gold trim and the pink inside that you done picked out because your mama favorite color is pink. They put them in there. They have the funeral. We have the funeral. When they go bury them, that white casket with the gold trim and the pink is not in the ground.
It goes in the ground so that you can see.
Okay.
Because you notice they put the thing in the ground, but they don't put the dirt and all that stuff over it. They just put the person in the ground.
They sure enough do. They
And then
sure
when
enough do.
everybody leaves, they
Yeah.
take and pull it back up,
Uh-huh.
take the body out, put it in the casing, take that casket, and they resell it. They don't charge you all this money, but they resell your casket. So what I did, mhm,
They resell the casket. Like they take the body out of that casket that you just bought that was like $10,000 or $7,000, sometimes $20,000. And I cannot, I didn't know that. I did
so
not know
because
that.
my mom and my dad was being buried together because my dad was in the military and that was his only wife. We buried them on top of each other.
Okay.
So what I had to do was buy a plane ticket for my mom to be shipped,
Yeah.
right? So I said, "Well, is she being shipped? What's going on? What's happening to this casket?" They said, "Oh, you want the casket to go to?" Yeah.
What? They is that a is that a choice? I
So
pay
that's
for it.
how I figured out that they don't. You know what I'm saying? You don't.
So
The casket don't go.
you're paying $10,000 to rent the casket, ideally. Wow.
And people don't even notice.
I never knew
People
that.
don't even know this. I said,
I don't.
heck no, you gonna bury her in that. So my brother and my sister in law went and they made sure that she was buried with her casket,
Wow. Or they would
and
have
she
switched it out.
was.
She was. Okay.
And yes, and I had to pay for it. And that's another thing. If you're living in Atlanta, but your parents they were from somewhere else, and you have them transported, you got to buy a plane ticket, and whoever receives them on the
Mhm.
other end, you have to now pay them to hold the body until they're buried. So whereas my
Wait.
mom had, mhm, yeah. So
Okay,
whereas my
so
mom,
my mother is military, my father was military. The ideal, their wishes were to be buried together like your parents, right?
okay,
That
hmm
I'm from Philadelphia. I got her here to Atlanta for recovery. In the event it goes left and she passes away,
hmm
I would have to pay for her to leave Atlanta to go to the Philadelphia Military Cemetery. And then
hmm
whoever's receiving her in Philadelphia, I got to pay them as well to hold the body. And do I pay someone to transport the body?
so
Or
no,
that's all the same
so
person?
so Von Green is another funeral home that received my mom's body so that the
Okay.
military base can, that she could be buried. So what
Right.
they did in the fee, they transported her to the burial of the
Right. Okay.
veterans memorial, whatever. They did all of that in their fee, but that was a
Right.
whole nother $3,000 fee.
To get a body to put.
So I had to pay with the body being transported the $800 for the plane ticket,
Okay.
transportation of the
So it's a regular
casket and
plane.
all the
They on a regular plane.
regular plane, everything up under the plane, all
What?
that.
Okay.
So
I thought it was a special
Von
plane.
Green picks right. Von Green goes pick up the once she comes in. Von Green goes pick
Okay.
up the body, take it
Okay.
to their funeral home.
Hmm.
Keep her there until, and I had to wait because she couldn't be buried until that Monday. So
Right.
she got there on like a Monday or Tuesday, and
Okay.
they had to keep her Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 6 days, and then
Oh,
they
so they
took
charged
her.
a fee for that. For how long they have to
But they
hold the
was like,
body.
we're not gonna. They were nice. They was like, we're because you just had a funeral. We're not gonna charge you all this money. They just did it for one flat fee of $3,000.
That's still a
That
lot.
still
That's a
was a
lot.
lot.
That's a lot.
So,
Well,
mind you, her funeral was like 9,000 something dollars. Her policy was $10,000, right?
it's
So then we
the
had to pay out of pocket
the rest
another
of
three
it.
thousand dollars. So that's like 13, $14,000. to have
Yeah.
this all of this taking place. So now, and then my mom had a little money saved. So even taking that and whatever, it's still we were still in the red. So that's why I tell people educate, 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 educate. I can't stress that enough. In this whole conversation, if you don't do nothing else, find out what's wrong with your parents, find out what coverages and everything they have, and start educating yourself of what those coverages and things look like in case something happens. You got to. A caregiver, yeah, that I know what this is about. This is about, hey, your experience as a caregiver. I ain't want to do it. It was
No.
taken away from my day to day, but
That was that was
I
my
wasn't gonna
next
leave it up
question.
to right. I wasn't gonna leave it up to nobody else to take care of my
Right.
mom. I don't
Right.
know if you're gonna beat her. I don't know if you're gonna mistreat her. No, nothing.
Yeah.
So to clear my conscience, I got this.
Right. But it's not for the weak. It is not.
It ain't for the weak. It ain't
It's
something for
not
the
for the
weak. So if you're not that person to um that you just not into it, you're not gonna do it, whatever. I'm telling you, the more you do for your parents, the better you're gonna be blessed. It
weak.
says honor your mother and father, which is the first command, right?
Right.
That your days may be longer. So I feel
Right.
like God gave me a little bit more time
Yeah.
because I extended that grace to my mom. And I
Right.
encourage anybody out there, make sure whatever you're doing, Giovanni, is not in vain. I promise you, it's not in
Ooh,
vain.
okay. Oh, okay, girl. You done gave a little word because okay, so me, grieving my old life has been a serious thing for me because I'm only in my early 40s. And like you said, everything is on pause, no dating, no on the phone, none of the things that you normally would get up and go drink with your friends, brunches, all those things, everything has to be planned out once you're a caregiver. And because of this process, I'm a year into it. It's a year ago that my mom had a stroke, 14 months, because I counted down to the day like it's a sentence. And
Hmm.
the process with my friendships, some of them feel like it's taking too long, right? Like you should be over this, you should be adjusted, or whatever. So have you ever experienced in your journey prior to your mom passing a moment of like grieving your old life or just a depression of it?
Yes. So let me start with this. When my mom passed away, I gained 33 pounds, right? I gained the 33 pounds because I didn't know how to process my grief.
Okay.
And what I mean by process your grief, be able to talk out the things that the reasons why you feel the way you feel. And grief counseling is very serious. And a lot of times, especially coming from the Black community, we don't want to do counseling for nothing.
We're not laying on the couch. Yeah, I
We
resist
don't
that,
lay
but
on
my
the
counselor
couch.
has helped me. It has really helped.
And it has no color, trust me.
It doesn't.
And
No.
what I will tell you is I used my good old insurance at the time. And I sat on the couch and I just bawled and I
Mhm.
ate my feelings away because I felt like that was helping me. But then in the
Okay.
long run, I'm like, girl, you about to have diabetes, girl, you about to be when you just now you barking up the same tree that your mom. This is in your DNA.
Lineage, yeah.
So you don't want to do this. And
Right.
then not only top, I start feeling like, okay, now I'm bigger. Nobody ain't gonna want me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Dating for a big girl sometime. You know what I'm saying? I'm be honest. It just wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't grade A. It just wasn't. I was being looked over. I could be at the bar and I felt like I was pretty still as a fat girl or a heavy set girl. Guys would look right over me for size. So me just dealing with that and my own insecurities, and then I got this grief on me. Then I'm feeling like, I'm in a dark place because I don't have my mom I could call and talk about a dude that did me wrong or a job that,
Right.
this lady is mistreating me because I know more than her and she don't know her job or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Because my mom will ride with me to the end of the day. And when you
Right.
don't have that anymore, that just puts you in a place of darkness. You know what I'm saying? So I
So
just
did it
felt like
affect your friendships? Did it affect your friendships?
well, it did because I started blocking people off
Okay. Yeah.
because I didn't want them to see me like that, and then I just became very just standoffish. And then
Right.
I had to go to my friends that knew me for a long time like, "Hey, it was nothing personal. It's just that I have been going through this for so long by myself and I'm just trying to learn how to process grief in a way
Right.
where it can be healthy." So now I can sit and talk about um, the things that me and my mom went through, the happy times. So my mom just had a death anniversary November 4th.
Okay.
So every November it's hey, it's coming up, but each year I will say, I can't say it's getting better, but I'm able to cope with it. I've
Okay.
accepted
You
she's
have
not coming
accepted it.
back. I've
Right.
accepted that, hey, I don't have parents. My mom and my dad are deceased.
Right.
Um, and all I can do is be the best version of them or of my mom, whatever she wanted me to be. You know, my mom accepted my good, my bad, my ugly. She
Right.
accepted it all. I was her child. You my child. You know.
Right.
So I think she would be so proud that, I was able to put her away nicely.
Yeah.
I was able to cope with the grief and things like that. And then right after that, my grandmother passed. So it was just a lot. And my grandmother raised me, and especially during the time my mom was in her drug addiction. So it was just a lot, so I
Right.
don't have that other person that I call mom. She's
Right.
gone too. So,
But your
it's
mom
different.
in ideology has prepared you for your grandmom because you learned like the whole funeral process and how that
Yep.
money work and all of those things. So every lesson sometimes is a blessing in a sense because
It,
you
it
learned
is.
how to be able not to be manipulated because unfortunately the funeral business can be manipulative. You're in your grief, so they're trying to get you to buy a blanket with the picture on there for $300. They trying to get you to buy a sheet cover as if the person is cold. So I mean, when my father
Mhm.
passed away, we went through, and I'm like, a cover for what? Like, not just flesh. That flesh is. Why do we need a blanket for five hundred
You ain't
dollars?
lied. You ain't lied
But
because my
in
brother
your
was
moment
like,
of grief or programs that's $600, and I'm like, we can do this on Word. We don't have to do this. Like, if we could go on
uh-uh.
Google University and learn how to do an obituary. We don't have to pay $1,000 for them to type something up about your loved one that you know, like those type of things. So, in essence, it kind of prepared you for your grandmom in a sense, so you
Mhm.
wouldn't
Mhm.
make these financial decisions in your grief, like these.
Yep.
Yeah, she need that casket. Yeah, she needs this. In essence, so since you've been through this experience, what preparations have you made to make sure your child does not go through this? Because I heard you say you
Mhm.
were transparent, with your
Mhm.
child and the layout of money and all of that. What have you done to prepare?
Well, I put my policies and things are in place.
Okay.
My daughter is my beneficiary. I told her, I asked her, does she know what that is? She does know what that is. I just gave her the education 1-on-1. This what
Right.
you do. This what you don't do. Don't let them sell you nothing that you don't need. Don't you go out
Right.
here and spend no $5,000-$6,000 on no darn casket because it's going in the ground. And you make sure the casket go with me.
Right. Whatever you buy, make sure it go with me.
Whatever you buy. And I told her too, I said when you're going through grief and you're going through death, people think you got money.
Yeah.
They think you got money because people are giving you cars with money in it. But that don't they'll be like 25, $30, $40,
Right.
whatever it is. And people start clinging to you because they feel like, oh, she got a policy.
Yeah.
And I told her, beware of those kind of people too. Those people that you ain't never heard about, they ain't never been around you. Look, I got this. Don't tell them nothing. Keep everything to yourself. I said, even if you get into a relationship with somebody or you already in a relationship with them and there, whatever money is left over, that's your money. You don't
Right.
discuss that with nobody. You live off that money and you go on and you be great.
Right. We not starting no barbecue business
We ain't
because
start
it's
no
your
barbecue
boo
business. We ain't start
dream.
no barbershop. We ain't start no
Start
barbershop.
no
We ain't start no
barbecue, no
daycare.
car detailing. Babe, I think your mom would have wanted this. Nah. She wouldn't have.
Not with my mama money. Not my mama money. No, we ain't
So
doing
I
that.
You gave such so many gems tonight. Leave the people with one gem that they need to prepare. Like from the caregiving piece, if you can go back in time, things that you would have done differently to prepare for this moment or the moments of your mom passing. Give the people something that they can say, okay, this I need to get this, and this in order. Any tips you can leave them or gem?
All I'm gonna say is find out your parents' health or wealth. Find out what
Yes.
their health, what's in the bloodline. Find out what may potentially take them away from you.
Yeah.
Get educated. And if you don't do nothing else, if your parents don't have a policy, you get one for them.
I'm trying to tell you.
Get one for them. Because
'Cause
I'm
that
telling you, it's going to be the best thing to
transport
save your life.
needs
And it's
is
not
not.
all about
I have,
money, but
but
you don't want to do, if your parents even want to be cremated and they
that
have a
costs.
policy, there's still costs. There's still a
Yeah,
cost with that. So
cremate.
I would tell you the gem I will leave is be educated. Your parents ain't gonna tell you nothing. Go with them to the doctor. Find out from the doctor's mouth what's wrong with them. Don't take their word because they don't want us to worry, so they're not gonna tell us.
Yeah, they're not gonna tell you. Yeah.
Mm-mm. So, yeah, educate yourself for the health and find out about the wealth of what their policies and things look like. If you don't understand what's in the policies, find you somebody that can break it down to you in layman terms.
Yes. And find out their debt. That's what I'm going through now. The debt
Oh
that
yeah,
they have.
and find out all of that. But you know what? I was so grateful. My mom didn't have none.
Okay, so you was grateful. Yeah, my parents to find that out and discover it and keep finding stuff out 14 months later, it's like, wait, what?
And guess what? Let me tell you something. I will tell somebody out here, don't pay that stuff. Don't pay that stuff. If they had a car and the car has a payment on it, send it back. If you ain't trying to pay for it, send it back. All the other things, their credit, it's going to be written off anyway to bad debt. So why are you going to pay them folks? Why? Somebody told me I was ready to pay. My mom had like three little bills, like little doctor bills. I said, why are you paying that? All you're gonna do is send them the death certificate that your mom's gonna. They told me, oh, don't worry, we're writing this off. Why pay it?
What? Oh,
They writing it
didn't
off to
know.
bad debt. This is the part of education you don't know.
Yeah, didn't know that. Didn't know you had to transport,
Because
pay a fee to hold the
first of all,
body.
who credit is gonna affect? And they might ask you, you might get somebody to say, well, who's the person in line
Power of
to
attorney. Yeah,
the responsible party?
yeah,
I don't know. Because they'll try to put it on you. I don't know. It's not me. But here's her death certificate. She's gone.
yeah,
They write off the bad debt. They have insurance for stuff like that.
yeah,
And it's on under their social security number, so it ain't affecting you. So why you gonna pay it? No.
yeah. I guess if you put it that way. I guess if you put it that way. But see, it's a little different when they're living. When they're still
Yeah.
living, that stuff have to because they can garnish waves, especially IRS. What I'm
Get
dealing with,
checked.
yeah, they can garnish the Social Security, the pension, and all those things. So if they're passed away, then yes, the debt part of it that may not be on your table. But if they're still living, that's a table because that those pensions and social
Hmm.
securities and all of those things will help alleviate some of the care costs because being a
Right.
caregiver does cost money if you can't work,
Yes.
if you don't have the luxury of working from home, all those co-pays for different doctor's appointments, some of those things are not low co-pays. The specialist, I know one of her specialists is $70 every time we go. We go once
Hmm.
a month. So that can add up.
This.
That so when they're living, the debt part you definitely need to dissect and know what you're up against. You need to know what
Yep.
that money looks like. You need to know what money that comes in and what goes out. That's something you need to know. You need to, like you said in the beginning of the video, to insert yourself because they will not tell you. They not gonna tell
Nope.
you. You got to get all
Nope.
up in a business. I've never been up in someone's business more than I have been these 14 months. I feel like I'm a stalker. Like I feel like I am a fool, but I can get to it now. I can pull. I know the right questions to ask. I know the follow up because sometimes the math got a math. Because I'm like, wait a
The
minute, how
math
we?
got a math.
Wait a minute, what? No, you said it
Hmm.
was this. Well, let me get on my phone and see what this diagnosis could lead to this because you got to get into the business. So today, I really appreciate you hopping on here, giving your story and your testimony. You have taught me so much because I had no idea you had to pay a fee, not for the not to carry the body, and I didn't know they don't put that casket with you. So we won't be picking out no $10,000 casket. We not doing
Nope.
that.
You're
Not
not
doing
doing
that.
it. You
We're
can
not
spend that
doing that.
$10,000 on something else.
On
Not it.
something else. So I thank you for joining me. I appreciate your openness and your willingness to peel back the layers of your journey, even discussing your
Mhm.
mom passing. I appreciate that. I didn't know we was gonna go there. I knew some of the story, but I was like, we're not gonna touch on that. So I do thank you for opening up and
Oh
being
no.
transparent about that. I don't know if it was hard for you or not, but I'm thankful to God that you were able to share it with someone so they can be prepared and know about the funeral process and understand what that looks like if caregiving goes left. So next week's episode, it will be another interview of another point of view, 9 p.m. Friday, every
All right.
Friday. So I thank you and goodbye, besties. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate
Bye.
you.
Have a good
Bye.
day.
Have a
Bye
good
bye.
day.